Welcome to the SportsHeads NFL Betting Podcast, sponsored by RedZoneSports.bet. Want to know what's hot and what's not in American football? Join me, Tony Fennell, and my co-host, John Stone, as we break down every game this week. All right, John. How you doing, matey?
Hey, how are you?
Very good. All right, let's get on with the business at hand. How did you get on last week, my friend?
I actually did pretty well. We were doing this Monday night before the Monday night game, but so far, 7-5 on winners.
Come on.
And 20-14-2, my best in a while. So I guess I figured some things out over the course of the season. Let's see if we can do it again this week.
Let's do it. Week 10, Game 1, Seattle Seahawks at Arizona Cardinals. It was a bad day at the office for Russell Wilson and co.
Oh.
Yep, during their 17-14 loss to Washington, they committed, you ready for this? 16 penalties, dropped 2 interceptions, and allowed Washington to drive 70 yards in the final minutes for a touchdown.
Ugh.
Even Wilson's Hail Mary in the dying seconds was incomplete. Any other day, and you know this, he'd have probably made that.
Absolutely.
The Arizona Cardinals, well, they did enough to grind out a win against San Fran Week 9 and are now feeling pretty good, I'd have thought, ahead of Thursday night showdown with Seattle. Thanks to Adrian Peterson's dominant defensive performance, the Cardinals beat the winless 49ers 20-10, leaving them with an improved 4-4 record on the season. This will be a tough game for both teams, John, but with Seattle sitting at 5-3, I see Wilson and the boys coming to Arizona and nicking this one. How about you, John?
Yes, Seattle is giving 6 on the road. I think Vegas agrees with you. 42.5 over-under. I think that's fair. Yeah, Seattle, wow, what a rough game. I mean, I don't think anybody called that one.
Nope.
Especially after their performance against Houston the week before. I think they left a few points on the field that week and didn't have enough this time around. Russell Wilson, yeah, it was a one-man show against Washington. 24-45, 297, 2 touchdowns, but 2 interceptions and 2 sacks.
Yeah.
He also rushed 10 times for 77 yards, which means he outrushed the rest of his team by 7 yards. That is not a good sign. Defense was strong. They sacked Kirk Cousins, Washington's quarterback, 6 times, including a safety, but had no interceptions, which is surprising for that team. Legion of Boom did not boom this time around. Washington, they also held Washington's rushers to 23 for 51. But what did them in? What else did them in? Let's say.
What did them in?
16 penalties for 138 yards. Nobody's going to overcome that.
Nope.
That's terrible. You're right with the Cardinals. AP, Mr. Peterson showed up big time against San Francisco. 37 rushes for 159 yards. That allowed backup quarterback Drew Stanton, who's filling in for the injured Carson Palmer, to just do what he had to do. 15 of 30, 201 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, and no sacks. Very important for them. They also held San Francisco's rushing game to 63 yards and sacked C.J. Beathard, the quarterback, 5 times.
Ouch.
Injury-wise, Seattle does have running back Eddie Lacy is injured. Oops, wow, I don't care. Linebacker DJ Alexander and defensive end Marcus Smith are questionable. Those would be losses if they don't get them fixed up for this game. Arizona, nobody knew. Seattle, extra points. Seattle rushing D is still very mediocre, so I think Mr. Peterson has some opportunities to run in this game. They are also worst in the league, Seattle, in penalties against. 82 for 672 yards in 8 games. That averages out to 10 penalties for 84 yards per game.
Crazy.
That is why they are 5-3 and not doing much better. Arizona's passing defense, 14 touchdowns, giving up 7 interceptions and only 13 sacks. And they're also giving up 247 yards per game. So I think Mr. Wilson will have, I think this will come down to Mr. Peterson versus Mr. Wilson for this game. That said, I'm looking forward to seeing Larry Fitzgerald against the Legion of Boom.
Nice.
That's going to be an interesting matchup. But I think in the end of the day, Seattle, I think they'd like to get away from home and just forget about that game against Washington. Seattle will win this game. Arizona will beat that spread. I think it's a little big, and I'm going to go with the under.
Week 10, Game 2, New Orleans Saints at Buffalo Bills. The Saints defeated Tampa Bay 30-10 on Sunday, right? Their win, check this out, their win was the 6th consecutive win for the Saints, their longest winning streak since they won 8 consecutive games at the end of the 2011 season.
Wow.
Right, officially their lead is only half a game, but let's face it, the Saints have established their supremacy in the NFC South, and at this rate, they'll take the crown. As for the Bills, well, they were bullied out of the game by the Jets last week. The 7-sack game by New York came out of nowhere, and Buffalo had no answer. It was all set up for the Bills.
Right.
Win, and they'd be 6-2 and tied for first place in the AFC East. But once again, in a game where the Bills needed to make a positive "we are legit" statement, they didn't.
Yeah.
Drew Brees and co. are in it to win it. I see him going to Buffalo and taking this one, John. How about you, mate?
Yeah, Saints are giving 2 on the road at Buffalo. Buffalo is still not an easy place to win, no matter how the Bills are playing. So that's a little surprising. 48.5 over/under also is a little surprising, considering that New Orleans defense is playing a lot better and Buffalo is a very good defensive team. Yeah, New Orleans, they are rolling along and they are dominant. They were dominant over Tampa Bay at home. Drew Brees, what can you say? 22 of 27. 263 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, and 1 sack. And they have really discovered something great right now with their running game. Mark Ingram, after they got rid of Mr. Peterson out to Arizona, Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara are combining to really put some numbers up. This game, 26 rushes, 145 yards. You know I love all those rushing attempts. 1 touchdown. A.K. Alvin Kamara did lose 1 fumble, but I'm sure he'll be able to work through that.
We'll give him that.
We'll give him that. Alvin Kamara also had 6 receptions for 84 yards and a touchdown. So that really opens up this huge new dimension for their offense, which they haven't had for a long time.
Yeah.
Their defense also did a very good job, held Tampa Bay's very anemic offense to 200 yards total. Yikes.
Yeah.
Buffalo, I swear to God, I was watching that game. I said, what did you all put on the wrong uniforms? You got the Jets uniforms on. The damn Bills. I mean, they did every single thing that you expected the Buffalo Bills to do.
Yeah.
The Jets did.
Yeah.
And it was just ridiculous. Tyrod Taylor had to throw it 40 times. No, thank you, sir.
No.
285 yards, sacked 7 times. The Jets had 11 all season before that.
I know, it's crazy.
It was ridiculous. Taylor was also their leading rusher with 35 yards. That's not going to get it done. Defense gave up 194 rushing yards and 3 rushing touchdowns to the Jets. Jets averaged 95.5 yards per game before that. Injury was this was just a lost game, and I think you're absolutely right with the new coaching and new attitude in Buffalo. You really thought this would be a statement game for them, and they fell flat on their face. Hate to say it, same old Bills. I don't want to. I think they are a very good team, but we're gonna have to see how they recover from this. And going up against New Orleans is not an easy way to say, hey, let's take one off. New Orleans, injury-wise, safety Kenny Vaccaro and offensive tackle Teron Olmstead are questionable. Buffalo wide receiver Zay Jones and cornerback E.J. Gaines are also questionable. Buffalo's passing defense, they have 14 sacks, but nobody sacks Mr. Brees. 11 interceptions, though, so he's got to watch for that. Yeah, man. 7 touchdowns, but they are giving up 6.9 yards per attempt. That's not very good. Their rushing defense is giving up 94.4 yards per game with 3.7 per attempt, but have given up 8 rushing touchdowns so far this year. New Orleans, as you said, 6-game winning streak. They are also averaging 30 points per game. Very good sign for them.
Yeah.
I think the key to this game is going to come down to Buffalo's rushing defense versus the Ingram-Kamara combination. With thunder and lightning, I love them. And New Orleans, I think they're going to stack the box against Buffalo's rushing game and dare Tyrod Taylor to beat them, and I don't think he will. In this case, I'm going to stick with New Orleans. I think that train keeps rolling. Buffalo does not beat that spread, and I'm going to take the under.
Week 10, Game 3, Green Bay Packers at Chicago Bears. The Packers are facing the Lions tonight, so we won't know the standings till later. But the last few weeks, much of the focus has been at Green Bay. How do they make things easier on backup quarterback Brett Hundley? Get in sync with the offensive line? Yeah. Establish the running game? Get the receivers on the same page? Yeah. All of this will help, but Hundley has to help himself.
Yeah.
He needs to play better, and the team will respond. You know that.
Oh, yeah.
Coming off their bye week, the Chicago Bears have reached the midway point of the season. Check this out. They have a losing record of 3-5, but they've already matched their total number of wins for last season.
Oh, that's sad.
You gotta love that, though.
No.
The big takeaway this year so far, though, has to be Mitch Trubisky. The rookies come on and kick some serious booty. The question here, though, John, is can the defense continue to carry the team for the second half of the season?
Yeah.
I think the Bears will be too hot to handle at home, John, and I can see this being a really high-scoring game. The Bears are it for me, John. What about you, mate?
Yeah, they're giving 3 at home. As you said, there's no over-under yet because Green Bay has yet to play tonight.
Yeah, we're actually recording this on a Monday night, by the way.
Yes. Green Bay, Aaron Jones, he's their lone ray of hope, I guess, for this season. Another Aaron, 5.6 yards per carry, 320-plus carries and 62 total attempts. A good sign for him. Their rushing defense, however, is giving up 125.7 yards per game and 4.2 yards per carry. So I can see Chicago's game plan laid out before us in bright lights. Brett Hundley, you're absolutely right. 12 for 25, 87 yards. Yeah. No touchdowns, 1 interception, and 1 sack against the Saints 2 weeks ago. Yeah. He has got to step it up if they have even remotely a chance of even just competing or even staying above 500, which I don't see happening.
Nope.
Chicago, they had a bye week last week. I'm going to be a little bit of a fly in the ointment in your Mitch Trubisky parade here.
Really?
He's only completing 47.5% of his passes, and he's been sacked 11 times. So he's got some room for improvement.
But I think he was expected to be sat down eating hot dogs and doing nothing. You know?
You're absolutely right. And I think he's a complimentary quarterback to their running game. Yeah. It's all about the running game in Chicago. They're number 8 in the league in yards, 130.1 yards per game, 4.3 yards per attempt. So I do think if they get their running game going, he can do what he needs to do just to get those short third downs, hopefully, with his arm. Chicago's passing D has 23 sacks, but only 4 interceptions versus 8 touchdowns given up. That's a good number. 208 yards per game, number 8 in the league. Chicago, nobody's injured for them. Quarterback Aaron Rodgers is, of course, still out for Green Bay, will be for the rest of the season.
Yep.
Tight end Martellus Bennett and defensive tackle Quentin Dial are doubtful for Green Bay. Guard Lane Taylor and cornerback Kevin King are questionable. Injuries, overall, and we've seen this, we'll talk a little bit later about some more that have happened this past week. Injuries are killing the NFL right now. You want to talk about the numbers are down, viewership and all that. Yeah. But it's, nobody wants to see backup quarterbacks playing each other, and nobody wants to see running backs getting hurt. You have to do something, and I'm not sure what you can do. Yeah. It's just my complaint for the moment. Green Bay kicker.
And legitimately so, man.
Yeah, I think it's really had a severe impact on the way this season is playing out. Yeah. There should be teams that are doing better that aren't because of injuries. Green Bay kicker Mason Crosby, 7 of 8. I'm talking about the kickers for both teams because I think they'll be important in this game. Kicker Mason Crosby for Green Bay, 7 of 8 overall, 7 for 7 under 50 yards.
Nice.
While Chicago's kicker Connor Barth is 7 for 11 and only 2 of 5 over 40 yards. That may be an impact, but I think Chicago's defense will carry the day for them. I believe they will win this game. Green Bay will not beat that spread, and I'm going to take the under.
Week 10, Game 4, Cleveland Browns at Detroit Lions. The Cleveland Browns didn't lose on Sunday, John. Why?
Because they didn't play.
Hey! Look, it's got to be hard on the fans. The Browns have never played in the Super Bowl. Their last playoff victory came in 1994, and their last win in season, which was 10-6, was in 2007. At 0-8, it's more of the same. Every week it's a nightmare for these guys. The Lions, well, they face the Packers tonight. Again, we're recording this show on a Monday night, but not Aaron Rodgers, by the way. Yeah. Take it while you can, boys. Anyway, with Detroit coming off 3 straight losses, I think Stafford and Co. will get the win tonight and be primed for a major beatdown of the Browns coming on Sunday. Detroit will get the win here for me, John. How about you?
Yeah, they're giving 9.5 at home. The way they've been playing lately, I think only the Browns would take 9.5 against them at home. Cleveland, bye week. They didn't lose. Yay, Cleveland. Passing offense, god-awful. 23 sacks, 17 interceptions versus 7 passing touchdowns. Oof. Their rushing offense is 4.1 yards per carry, 95.1 yards per game. That's actually not bad. The only bright spot for them. Their defense has 16 sacks, which is also good. 5 interceptions, and 16 touchdowns given up, which is not good in 8 games. For Detroit, they have the game tonight, but overall, Matthew Stafford has 25 sacks. Ouch. Yeah. 4 interceptions, which is very good, and 12 touchdowns. Their running back, however, Amir Abdullah, has got to step up, 52.7 yards per game. Stafford needs that support to keep that defense honest. Otherwise, they're just going to key off on him. Pass defense, only 13 sacks, but 10 interceptions, number 4 in the league, versus 10 touchdowns, number 8. Detroit's rushing defense is number 6 in yards per game at 91.6 yards. 3.6 yards per attempt, which is number 4. Injury-wise, wide receiver Josh Gordon is out. Detroit doesn't look like there's anything significant right now. We'll see what happens tonight. Detroit has lost 3 in a row and are 1-3 at home this year. Ouch. And again, if it wasn't Cleveland coming to town, I would say they'd have a shot. Cleveland, however, is 4-23 on the road since 2014. That tells me I think Detroit's going to win this game. Cleveland will beat that spread, however. I think this is going to be a low-scoring game. A lot of mistakes I expect on both sides, and I'm going to take the under.
Week 10, Game 5, Cincinnati Bengals at the Tennessee Titans. Right, for Bengals fans, the thing they'll take away from the 23-7 loss to the Jaguars on Sunday is the following. They needed to be on the money. Instead, A.J. Green threw a punch at the Jags cornerback. I mean, seriously. Threw a punch at Jalen Ramsey. That sparked out an all-out brawl between the two teams. Got Ramsey and Green thrown out of the game. Nightmare. And the Bengals were only trailing 13-7 at the time. They could have turned that stuff around, but it just got worse. Losing Green was the deal breaker, and the Jags ran riot. As for the Titans, they reached the halfway point of the season in a pretty good spot thanks to Sunday's win over the Ravens. Titans quarterback Marcus Mariota had a stellar game, and with this win, this now leaves Tennessee at 5-3 and remain tied with the Jaguars at the top of the AFC South. Pretty good. I see a home victory for the Titans, John. I'm not messing around. What do you think?
Tennessee giving 5.5 at home, 40.5 over under. The Bengals dropped another one in their loss at Jacksonville. Total offense for Cincinnati, 148 yards.
Ouch!
17 for 29 rushing. That's 17 attempts for 29 yards.
Crazy.
Yikes.
Crazy.
10 for 18, 136 passing for Andy Dalton. Joe Mixon, the running back. Why is he even called a running back anymore? I don't know what he does. 2.9 yards per carry, 35.5 yards per game.
Ain't cutting it.
He ain't cutting it. 284 yards rushing. He has 204 yards receiving. That's what I'm saying. Why is this guy still running the ball? Except I don't know if they have anybody else. Rushing defense gave up 149 yards to Jacksonville. That's not uncommon. Jacksonville runs the ball very, very well. Tennessee, boy, they withstood a wild fourth quarter to beat the Ravens. Mariota, you're absolutely right, carried the team 19-28, 218 yards, 2 touchdowns, only 1 interception, and 3 sacks.
This kid can play, man.
He's great, and he drives that team. They live and die by that guy, and I think he's going to be, if he can stay healthy, he's going to be a real factor as the season goes on. The rushers, they were held to 21 for 71, 1 touchdown. That's not that bad, except Baltimore has the number 30 rushing defense in the league in yards. Tennessee's rushing defense held Baltimore's running backs, who have been doing pretty well the past few weeks, to 64 yards on 20 attempts. Injury-wise, offensive tackle for Cincinnati, offensive tackle Jake Fisher and wide receiver Tyler Boyd are questionable. Wide receiver A.J. Green may be suspended. I have a feeling he will be.
I mean, what an idiot.
What an idiot. I mean, you got to just suck it up, you know? It turns out that the defender was like looking for him after the game, so there was apparently a lot of bad blood.
What, Jalen Ramsey?
Jalen Ramsey was apparently looking for him. They had
Rumble
to restrain
in the
him. Exactly. So I don't know if that affects him for Jacksonville next game, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. Tennessee guard Quinton Spain and linebacker Nate Palmer are both out. Look, at the end of the day, A.J. Green was ejected for fighting. That shows some immaturity on this team, which really could use some maturity right now. And I don't know where their leadership is coming from. I don't know who's in charge of that club anymore. Rushing defense for Cincinnati is giving up 116.5 yards per game, 3.8 per carry. So I think Tennessee will have some opportunities to run the ball. Trap alert, Tennessee. You have Pittsburgh at Pittsburgh on Thursday night, so do not look ahead on this game. That said, I do believe Tennessee is going to pull this one out. They'll win. Cincinnati is going to beat that spread. I think it's a little high because these two teams are going to be in a deadlock throughout most of this game, and I'm going to take the over on this one.
Week 10, Game 6, Pittsburgh Steelers at the Indianapolis Colts. The Pittsburgh Steelers at 6-2 have 8 games remaining on the books, right, for 2007. They've already won 6 of their first 8, and check this out, John. They get to play 5 of their 8 remaining games at home.
Nice.
That's frightening.
Nice.
For Indianapolis, what we're seeing here, and I think so, is a refocused Colts. The connection between quarterback Brissett and wide receiver Hilton is back to full strength, and the Texans felt the brunt of it on Week 9, I tell you that. Look, it wasn't a landslide by any means, but they looked like they mean business. At 3-6, there's still the playoff dream in front of them, but they've got to put Big Ben away on Sunday. That being said, it's the men of steel for me, John. Sorry. Pittsburgh are strong, and they're going to take this one. How about you, bro?
Yeah, they're giving 10 on the road.
Ow.
43 over-under. I guess everybody isn't sold on their win, the road win for the Colts over Houston.
It's a dream, sir.
It's a dream. Every man can dream. Mm-hmm. Pittsburgh, they had a bye week last week. Ben Roethlisberger has 9 interceptions and 10 sacks versus 10 touchdowns this year. Not the greatest numbers, but he doesn't have to be because he has running back Le'Veon Bell behind him, who is averaging, get this one, 30.6 attempts. Beautiful number. Yeah. 120. Beautiful. It's a beautiful number. Sorry. It's my bad Trump impersonation.
I like it.
30.6 rush attempts per game and 129.6 yards per game.
Rockstar.
2 touchdowns in the last 3 games. That is a great trend for them.
Yes.
Let's keep that going, Pittsburgh.
Yes.
Pittsburgh's defense, number 4 overall in yards, number 2 in passing yards, with 26 sacks. Ouch.
Again, they're grinding it out, John. Week in, week out.
It's Pittsburgh. It's like, they might as well be a steel mill because they just keep trucking out those steel girders. I'll tell you what. 26 sacks, only 6 touchdowns given up by that pass defense. That's impressive. Jacoby Brissett, hey, he looked pretty darn good. I'm going to stop making fun of this guy. He looks like he's coming into his own. Against teams other than Pittsburgh. Houston, he was 20 for 30, 308 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions. Great numbers for any quarterback.
Absolutely.
Especially a young guy like that. 3 sacks, not that bad. Frank Gore and Marlon Mack, their running backs, were even good themselves. 26 for 80, not beautiful numbers, but good enough to keep the defense honest, and that gave Brissett some room to maneuver. Kicker Adam Vinatieri, you know how old this guy is? I think he's older than I am.
Yep.
17 of 18 this year, 6 for 6 beyond 40. The guy is a machine. He should go over to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Injury-wise, Pittsburgh has no injuries, unfortunately for Indianapolis.
Yeah.
Indy has holes in the secondary and on the defensive line. Pittsburgh is giving 10 on the road. That should tell you everything you need to know about this game. Trap alert, however, Pittsburgh, you're hosting Tennessee on Thursday night, so don't look ahead in this game. That said, no way is Pittsburgh losing this game. Famous last words. Indianapolis does not beat that spread, and I'm going to take the under.
Week 10, Game 7, New York Jets at Tampa Bay Buccaneers. John, the Jets are 4-5 in a season that was supposed to have left them with a 2-14 record, give or take.
I'm shaking my fist right now.
Right, I can see that. I couldn't work out. It's okay. Anyway, this team could have won 8 of their 9 games, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
Look, maybe the Jets aren't going to make the playoffs, but the teams left to face them on the way have to be weary of facing this team.
Yes.
Look, the phrase "nothing to lose" comes to mind. They just don't give a crap.
Yeah.
Anyway, the Buccaneers, they went into Week 9 trying to stop a 4-game skid, but instead, they weren't just beaten, they were battered.
Yeah.
Quarterback Winston left the game with shoulder soreness. Here's the best bit. Even then, he kept himself busy and he instigated a fight along the sidelines. What is wrong with that boy? All in all, a bad day at the office for Tampa. At 6-2, the Buccaneers are on a slippery slope. It's hard to believe I'm saying this, John, but I see the Jets finishing Week 10 at 5-5. It's New York for me, John. Are you with me?
I see that, and I agree with you. I'll raise you 1 point, which is what the Jets are giving on the road.
Wow.
It was Pick'em yesterday, and it's a 1 point lead for them. I think, it's a road game. It's the Jets. You expect something bad to happen, but I think they could give a little more the way Tampa Bay is just falling apart right now. 42 over-under. New York Jets, what can you say? They beat the heck out of Buffalo. There's
only one team in New York right now, and it's the Jets. End of story.
They're certainly the most interesting team. I don't know about exciting, but they are interesting. Josh McCown, quarterback, got to be a manager in that game. 14 for 20, 140 yards, only 1 touchdown, but that's fine. No interceptions against a very good Buffalo defense, and only 1 sack as well. Running backs Matt Forte, Bilal Powell, and Elijah McGuire combined for 181 yards rushing. 2 touchdowns. That is unheard of against that defense.
Massive.
Jets ran the ball 41 times. You know I love that number against Buffalo's number 8 rush D, which is normally only giving up 94.4 yards per game. Tampa Bay, another stinker against New Orleans.
Yeah.
Jameis Winston, unfortunately, he went out with a hurt shoulder. He didn't do much prior to that. 7 for 13, 67 yards. And
by the way,
sacks.
what was he doing fighting?
I don't know. Well, he's funny.
It was a funny week in the NFL.
Don't get me. Yeah, I mean, there were fights all over the place. It's like that's it's turned into the hockey league. Doug Martin, the running back, 8 rushes for 7 yards. There must have been something going on there.
Yep.
Tampa Bay overall 25 for 87. Not the worst, but not the best. But quarterback Ryan Fitzpatrick, who replaced Jameis Winston, was their number 2 rusher, and that guy can't run nothing.
Nope.
3 for 30. Ew. Rushing defense gave up 145 yards to New Orleans, 1 touchdown, and New Orleans running backs Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara, as we said, ran roughshod over Tampa's D. New York Jets injuries, offensive tackle Brandon Shell and cornerback Morris Claiborne are out. Tampa Bay quarterback Jameis Winston is out. He is now out, they're saying, for 2 weeks to rest that shoulder.
Yeah.
Defensive end William Golston and offensive tackle Donovan Smith are questionable. Just came in today, Jeremy Curley, the receiver for the Jets, suspended 4 games for PED violation, performance-enhancing drugs. So that's going to hurt them. Tampa Bay has lost 5 in a row after starting the season 2-1. And Tampa Bay's quarterback Ryan Fitzpatrick gets a chance to take on his old team. I'm sure he's going to be champing at the bit for that. Jets passing defense has given up a lot of touchdowns, 19 so far this year, averaging 234 yards per game given up versus 9 interceptions and 18 sacks. 18 sacks, not bad, so watch out, Fitzy. Tampa Bay's rushing defense is giving up almost 117 yards per game. That's going to be something to watch. See if the Powell and Forte and McGuire combination can reestablish themselves in this game.
I think they will.
I think they have a chance. I think they can do it very well. They could very well do it, sorry. Tampa Bay wide receiver Mike Evans is suspended for the game. He's the one who came in after Jameis Winston started the issues on the sideline and knocked the New Orleans defender over.
Really?
So he's out. That's not going to help their cause.
Nice.
At the end of it, I'm going to take the Jets in this one. I think they are going to win this.
Right.
Tampa Bay will obviously not beat the spread, and I will take the over.
Week 10 game out, Minnesota Vikings at Washington Redskins. The Vikings will be looking to build on their 6-2 start. Quarterback Teddy Bridgewater's comeback from a knee injury has been in the news. But let me ask you a question, John.
Yeah.
Why would anybody think of replacing current quarterback Case Keenum? I mean, seriously.
He's doing a remarkable job.
Look, he's ranked 7th best in the league.
Yeah.
You know, and he's earned his place in the team in my eyes. Look, with
Absolutely.
a 6-2 record, here's the saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Exactly. As for Washington, quarterback Kirk Cousins, he came into a tough game, made even worse by the number of starters being out with injuries.
Yeah.
But he stood firm in one of the best wins for a long time for the team. The Redskins stunned the Seahawks 17-14.
Shocking.
And the team moved to 4-4 in the year. Boom! This will be a close one, but I see Washington improving on their record and taking the win, John. What do you think, mate?
I think it's very interesting that Minnesota, coming off a bye week, is automatically giving a 1.5 at Washington. I don't think they've won there in a decade.
Yeah.
42.5 over-under, I think that's about right. Yeah, Minnesota's on their bye week. These are the numbers for Minnie, and they're pretty darn good. Minnesota's defense, number 3 overall in yards, number 6 passing, 24 sacks, ouch, 6 interceptions versus 9 touchdowns given up, and they're number 3 in rushing defense, giving up 81.4 yards per game. Minnesota's rushing offense, on the other side, with these 2 young guys that have come out of nowhere, 120 yards per game, 4 yards per carry. Case Keenum, you're absolutely right. In 7 games, check these numbers out. 5 sacks only, that's pretty darn good. Only 3 interceptions, that's also pretty darn good. 7 passing touchdowns, that's also not bad. In 7 games, averaging 230 yards per game. Nobody was thinking of him at the beginning of this year. So
Massive numbers.
He's really come in and filled in for Mr. Bradford, so it's a good sign, and we'll see what happens as they go forward. Washington, wow, what a win at Seattle. Nothing spectacular on either side of the ball, but they just held their own and came back and won it in the end, and that is a real positive sign for them in what's been a real struggle this season. Quarterback Kirk Cousins, you're right, 21 for 31, 247 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. He was sacked 6 times. Ow.
Yeah.
But, he really carried that team, running back by committee. They did not factor in. Their rush defense did hold Seattle's non-rushing offense to 71 yards. They did give up 77 yards to quarterback Russell Wilson on the ground, but he also had 2 interceptions, which helped them very much.
Yeah.
Injury-wise, Minnesota, nobody knew. They're coming off their bye week. Washington tight ends Jordan Reed and Niles Paul are out. Wide receiver Jamison Crowder and they have some holes on their offensive line. Jamison Crowder is also out. Minnesota is on a 4-game winning streak. Very interesting. They are 1-6 in the last 7 seasons in the game after their bye week.
Interesting.
So they may be taking a little too long off in that. Washington's pass defense is 22 sacks, 8 interceptions versus 12 TDs given up. Rushing defense is giving up about 110 yards per game. Quarterback Kirk Cousins has been sacked 22 times this year, as we said. This is a trap game for Minnesota. They have the Rams coming in next week. Got to watch out. It's also a trap game for Washington. They're playing New Orleans next week.
Yeah.
Prediction-wise, I really do like what happened with Washington this past weekend at Seattle. I think they woke up to a couple of things.
Yes.
That said, I love those numbers for Minnesota, so I'm going to play this one close to the vest. I'm going to take Minnesota to win this one. Washington will not beat that spread, and I'm going to take the under in this game. I think it'll be a defensive struggle across the board.
Week 10, Game 9, Los Angeles Chargers at Jacksonville Jaguars. Coming off their bye week, the Chargers at 3-5 really need a win Week 10.
Yeah.
They're coming into this game following a spanking by New England, but check it out, prior to that loss, they had wins over the Giants, the Raiders, and the Broncos in consecutive weeks leading up to Week 8. So, all's not lost, and with the defense playing well, Chargers quarterback Phillip Rivers really needs to get this offense moving.
Yeah.
Right. How good is the Jaguars defense, John?
Oof.
Very.
Ouch.
To say the Jaguars suffocated the Bengals on Sunday is an understatement. They smashed Cincinnati 23-7. Blake Bortles is having a great year, and the team is now sitting at 5-3. They're looking good for a playoff push. It's a home win for me, John. The Jaguars should put this one away, no problems. How about you, mate?
Yeah, Jacksonville giving 4 at home, 41 over under. I think those are both fine. LA coming off a bye week. You're absolutely right. Phillip Rivers, 254 yards per game, 11 sacks. This is all for the season. Averaging 254 yards per game, 11 sacks, 6 interceptions versus 13 touchdowns thrown. That's a good number. Running back Melvin Gordon, the guy who keeps the defense honest, number 9 in yards, averaging 4.0 yards per carry. Their rushing defense, however, is not helping them at all, giving up 135.1 yards per
Rivers
game.
has got to get those boys in check.
4.6. Yeah, you basically need to keep the other team's offense off the field in order for them to have a chance. Jacksonville, boy, it's all about defense for them. I'll tell you what, they stomped on that was animal abuse.
Yeah, it was.
The Bengals held Cincinnati, as we talked about earlier, to 148 total yards, 29 rushing, 1.7 yards per carry. Yoinks. Jacksonville's running by committee was terrific. 40 rushes. I love that number. 149 in yards. Blake Bortles, he threw it a little bit, a lot. Let's not say a little, a lot for the success of their running game. But he did do decently. 24 completions out of 38. Attempts, 259 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions, and no sacks. Big numbers for him. Chargers, nobody's injured right now. Jacksonville defensive end Dante Fowler Jr. and offensive tackle Cam Robinson are questionable. Will cornerback Jalen Ramsey be suspended not really after going after A.J. Green, because he certainly looked like the victim in that one in the game against Cincy, but for his after-game antics where he was trying to get at A.J. Green and the Bengals, cursing them out. Will they give him a suspension? We'll have to see. Jacksonville's defense, number 2 overall in yards, number 1 in passing, with 35 sacks. Zoinks. Look out, Mr. Rivers.
Wow.
10 interceptions versus 4 TDs given up. Ow. Running back Melvin Gordon versus Jacksonville's rushing defense is the key to this game. If they can keep Jacksonville's offense off the field and score a few points, they'll have a chance. That said, I'm going to go with Jacksonville to win this game. I know this is their hide week. They played beautifully last week. And as Jacksonville does, they should fall over themselves at some point. And the Chargers are a perfect team to do that to them. But I'm going to have some faith in you, Jacksonville. Don't screw me. Jacksonville will win this game. Chargers will beat that spread. I bet it's close. I'm going to take the over.
Week 10, Game 10, Houston Texans at Los Angeles Rams. For the Texans, if you ever needed to know how important Deshaun Watson is to the team, all you had to do was watch Houston without him on Sunday. Houston's last 2 games show us how much Watson has brought to the team. Look, he was the AFC Offensive Player of the Month for a reason, and without him, and plus, the other injury woes they've got this season, we could see this season start slipping away if they're not careful. Right, the Rams. What the? I mean, suddenly they're a powerhouse. They destroyed the Giants in New York.
Wow.
And are a real force to be reckoned with. Now, at 6-2, the Rams are coming off a 33-0 victory in London during Week 7. And after such an extended break, some of the team and fans were uneasy about whether their offense could pick it up where they left off. Well, guess what? They did, and New York felt the brunt. I mean, they murdered them.
Oh, it was horrible.
Following on from last Sunday, I see the Rams picking up the Texans nice and easy. It's LA for me, John. How about you?
Yeah, given 11 at home. This is one of their first home games in a while. They've been on the road, it seems like, the entire season. 47 over-under. I think the Rams these days can score that themselves. Houston, without Deshaun Watson, they just are not the same team, obviously. Lost at home to Indianapolis. Tom Savage, he almost brought them back. Give him a little credit. But 19 for 44 ain't no good. 219 yards and a touchdown. No interceptions, 2 sacks. Not the worst, but not enough to get it done. Passing defense gave up 308 yards to Jacoby Brissett, the Indianapolis quarterback, and 2 touchdowns. Houston, here's the comparison, just what you were talking about. Houston's offense, Week 8 versus Seattle, a superb defensive team. 38 points scored, 509 yards total offense, and 5 touchdowns. This week, Week 9 versus Indianapolis, 7 points, 288 yards, and 1 touchdown.
Not great.
It's night and day when you don't have Mr. Watson on the field. LA, what can you say? My goodness, 51-17 over the DOA Giants. That is something to see. Gaudy numbers from Jared Goff, their quarterback. 311 yards, 4 touchdowns, no INTs, and no sacks. Great numbers for anybody, but especially him. Gaudy numbers from the running game. 39 rushes overall, 162 yards, and 2 touchdowns. I love those numbers. Third time this season, the Rams have scored more than 40 points in a game. I don't think they scored 40 points in the first 5 games last year. They are a night and day team, and they are looking really good right now.
It's the NFL this year. Who knows?
Who knows? You can never tell. That means Houston's going to win this game. No. Injury-wise, quarterback Deshaun Watson is on IR. That's all you really need to know. Tight end Ryan Griffin is questionable for Houston. Rams safety Cody Davis is on IR. Trap alert. This would have been a great game if Watson was playing. I bet this could have been 55-45 or 55-54, but unfortunately now it's going to be a dud. Trap alert, Rams. You go into Minnesota next week. That's a big game, so don't look this one over. That said, I do not believe they will look this one over. Rams will win this. I think Houston will beat that spread. I think they have some pride, and they're going to want to show that they have something to offer this season. So Rams will win. Houston will beat the spread, and I'm going to take the over.
Week 10, Game 11, Dallas Cowboys at Atlanta Falcons. The Cowboys saw an 11-point lead turn into a 3-point deficit on Sunday in little more than 6 minutes of gameplay. I mean, insane. But then Elliott and Prescott decided enough's enough and took control. The end result was a 28-17 win that kept the Cowboys within sight of the Eagles and improved them to 5-3 at the midway point of the season. For the Falcons, oh boy, it was another implosion on Sunday in a 20-17 loss to the Panthers. The Falcons actually looked poised to silence the crowd in Carolina for a minute by jumping to a 10-zip lead after the first quarter.
I liked it.
Nope. Sunday marked the 3rd time this season that the 4-4 Falcons blew a lead to lose a game. I mean, come on.
Unbelievable.
If Dallas can hold on to Elliott, here we go again, and the Falcons determined to throw games away, I can only see one outcome here, John. It'll be Dallas for the win. They'll win it on the road, yes or no?
The way these two teams are going right now,
it's a bit funky either way.
I'm a little surprised Atlanta's giving 3 at home. With a 51 over-under, you have to expect they're going to score some points on both sides. So I would have thought this would be a pick 'em or even give Dallas a point or two to give. But whatever, okay. I think it'll get a lot closer by the time this game is actually played. Big D looked great in their win over Kansas City at home on Sunday. Dak Prescott, 249 yards, 2 touchdowns, no INTs, and only 1 sack. Elliott wasn't spectacular, but he was pretty darn good.
These boys get it done, though, week in, week out.
Yes, sir. 27 for 93, 27 rushes for 93. You know, I love those numbers. 3.4 yards per carry and 1 touchdown. Dallas overall, 31 rushes for 131 yards and 2 touchdowns. They also, their defense held Kareem Hunt there. That was their goal, shut him down. Kansas City's running back to 37 yards only, and Kansas City to 68 rushing overall. That meant Alex Smith could not carry that team, which he was not able to.
Nope.
That helped them win that game. Atlanta, what can you say? Another tough loss at Carolina after giving up another lead. I was watching the analysis after the game, and they said the loss of Shanahan as their offensive coordinator, I think has really been an impact on that team.
Interesting.
And when you think about it, it's not your defense that loses games in the second half. It's your offense.
Good
because
point.
if your offense isn't on the field, either at least chewing up clock or scoring, you have too much pressure put on that defense, and that defense is decent but not great. You know, as you saw in the Super Bowl. Well, everyone's now saying it's just a Super Bowl hangover. They've got a jinx on them, but who knows?
Nah.
Matt Ryan was decent again. 24-38 against Carolina. 2 touchdowns, 1 INT, 2 sacks. Rushing game, however, was MIA. 18 rushes for 53 yards, and their defense gave up 201 rushing yards, most of them to Cam Newton. 2 touchdowns to Carolina. Injury-wise, kicker Dan Bailey is out. Mike Nugent has been subbing for him. He has no field goal attempts so far. Wide receiver Des Bryant is questionable. That could be an issue. Wide receiver Julio Jones and running back Devontae Freeman, as if Atlanta needs more drama on offense. And kicker Matt Bryant are all questionable. Ouch. You guys need points. You need these guys.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Dallas is looking strong. Atlanta's looking weak right now. The only thing I can see here is Dallas has a huge game next Sunday night against Philly, but Atlanta has a huge game next Monday night against Seattle, so it's traps for both. That nullifies that. That said, I'm going to take Dallas. I like the way they looked yesterday. I don't like the way Atlanta looks. I'm going to take Dallas to win this game. I'm going to say they beat the spread as well, and I'm going to take the under.
Week 10, Game 12, New York Giants at the San Francisco 49ers.
Can we just skip to 13?
Seriously. I mean, see, what do you say? Right, the Giants came into this season with real Super Bowl aspirations, now at 1-7, and an utterly embarrassing, and I'm saying that, I'm being kind, an utterly embarrassing 51-17 defeat at the hands of the Rams. Look, fans have gone from thinking they're going to win it all to actually start thinking about the first overall pick in the draft. Insane, right?
Yeah.
Eli Manning looked lost, and I've got to be honest, so did the rest of the team. McAdoo has now said that he may well bench Manning. I say bench the lot of them.
Including McAdoo.
Right, including McAdoo, exactly. As Bob Dylan said, the times they are a-changing, mate. This can't go on. It cannot go on. Saying that, it's hard to find a team as bad, if not worse, than the Giants. Well, at 0-9, San Francisco are that team. It's all started to unravel for the 49ers. Sunday's game saw the team's running back Carlos Hyde ejected along with 2 Cardinals defenders. It got pretty ugly. Look, it's been a frustrating season for the 49ers, and a lot of that frustration came to the surface Sunday. It's a case of damage control until the end of the season. For the Giants, too. I mean, both of these teams are insane right now. It's an ugly game ahead, John, here, for both teams. It's a case of saving face, I think. I think the Giants will take this one on the road, but at this point, who knows? It's the Giants for me, John. I mean, when I say just, I mean just. How about you? What do you think?
Well, you and Vegas. You know how bad the Giants are right now? San Fran's giving a point. 42 over under. Sure, why not? I don't think anybody can play defense.
Can I just say, Eli Apple, I actually saw him pulling out of tackles. Pulling out of tackles.
This is something I want to talk about during this.
There's nothing with that guy.
You're absolutely right.
You're being paid. Get on that pitch and sort it out. I'm a paying customer. Show me. Show me.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. Rams, what can you say? The Giants packed it in against them. 51 points, 473 yards overall. Passing defense got no sacks or interceptions against Jared Goff and gave up 4 touchdowns passing. Running game was the only bright spot for them. 26 rushes for 111 yards overall. And my buddy Orleans Darquois, 16 for 71, but obviously that didn't help that much. San Francisco, they kept free falling against Arizona. Rushing defense gave up 159 yards to Adrian Peterson, who decided to show up for this game. C.J. Beathard, their quarterback, was sacked 5 times. Their offense was 6 for 17 on 3rd down. Not going to get it done against anybody. Injury-wise, many holes, as we know, on Giants offense and on Giants defense and offense. Justin Pugh is also out. Guard Justin Pugh on offense. San Francisco, holes all over the place. Might as well change their names to the Swiss cheese. At least San Francisco is still fighting thing, and this is what I want to talk about.
Yeah.
I saw that Giants game, and
Yeah.
they did bail. And that's what you also have to start to wonder. I'm on an 0-7, 0-8 team, a 1-9 team, whatever. With all the talk of CTE, with all these guys going down with career or potentially career or at least season-ending injuries, do I want to be next?
Right.
Maybe that's why I'm not going to start playing tag.
Here's the problem. If there was 2 games left in the season and you're looking at maybe trying to look for another team at the end of it, I get it. There's 8 games to go.
Yes, you're right.
Stop taking the piss.
Yeah.
Get stuck in and show me why I support the New York Giants. This is not some lowly piece of garbage team. This is the New York Giants.
Yeah, well, and I think it's also a sign that they have given up on McAdoo, and they're more than happy to see that guy hit the road.
Is he going to go? I think they'll keep him in for the last 8 games, surely.
Well, they might as well. I mean, it's a lost season anyway, but if they bring him back, then the Giants as a whole are just lost for, a while.
I listened to fans today on the radio coming in, right?
Yeah.
I'm actually coming in a cab to the studio today. I'm hearing fans desperate to get rid of tickets.
Yeah.
I mean, they are dumping tickets left, right, and centre. There's fans that were basically in tears saying, I left after the second quarter. I couldn't take it anymore. I'm watching a team that doesn't give a crap.
Think how proud this franchise is. Think about how, and that I was also making a joke, think about San Francisco and the Giants maybe about 30 years ago, okay? This would have been the premier, this was a NFC championship game.
On the money, John, on the money.
In I think, 86. This was the 2 top franchises. The Giants go back to the beginning of time, and you are seeing a team that has literally walked off the field. I would say bring back Ray Handley at this point, for God's sake.
Yep.
That team is just awful. Right now, there is talk about starting Davis Webb. It says it's time to move on.
Why not?
That means Eli Manning's 218-game starting streak would come to an end. Now, I don't want to say that the season is lost. It is. But I want to say, if you have something to hold on to, at least be proud enough to start your quarterback for the race, even if you'd only play him a quarter. Okay, then bring Davis Webb in. But if you're going to take that away from this man, this may be the only thing he has left. I don't know any other teams that want to pick him up.
Yeah.
Look, we're in New York, folks. We have to talk about the Giants. It's our team, and God damn it, I mean, I am angry as heck, like every other Giants team out there. I'm angry, and I'm not going to take it anymore. That said, I'm giving San Francisco this game. They're going to win it. The Giants are not going to beat that spread. It's only 1 point
Probably
anyway.
not, no.
Or it'll probably end in a tie, but whatever. No, San Fran's going to win. The Giants don't beat the spread, and I'm going to take the over.
All right, Week 10, Game 13, New England Patriots at Denver Broncos. Coming off their bye week. And a tidy 21-13 victory over the Chargers.
Yes.
Brady and co should be nice and rested for this one. By the way, John, Tom Brady spent his bye week with his supermodel wife lounging in the Bahamas.
Oh, you saw that picture too, huh?
Tough life, right? At 6-2, they look like a team that is playoff, if not Super Bowl bound to me, John.
Yeah.
As for Denver, they got all the confirmation they could possibly need about where their season is as it stands.
Yeah.
With Sunday's 51-23 loss to the Eagles.
Oh.
They now have the prospect of the NFL's other powerhouse, the Patriots, coming in and spanking them as well. Look, the offense is low in confidence and low in output, and it doesn't look like it's going to turn around anytime soon. It's the Pats for me easily here, John. Should be a walk in the park. What are you thinking, mate?
I agree. 7.5 New England giving on the road. That might actually be low for them in this game, but it is at Denver with that thin air. 46.5 over under. I think that's about right. Yeah. The funniest thing is, even after a bye week, Tom Brady is still number 1 in yards in the league. That's saying something and a half, okay? New England's offense, number 3 overall in yards, number 1 in passing yards. 2 interceptions all season.
Crazy.
2 interceptions.
Crazy.
16 passing touchdowns. He has been sacked 21 times. I think some of those defensive guys are trying to get him out before he turns 45. We'll see. The rushing offense, a nice sign for New England. Rushing offense is giving him 109 yards per game, 3.9 per carry. That's very, very good for a New England team that used to not rush it very much at all. It was like 55 pass attempts per game. New England's defense is unfortunately still terrible for them, but they are improving. They held the Chargers to 13 points and only 212 yards passing, 22.1 points per game overall this season, and 295 yards per game. So those were both improvements. Those things to build on. And with Denver's anemic offense, they should be able to build on that again. Yeah, Denver, wow. I mean, I can see the Giants giving up, but good Lord. Philadelphia, blew you out.
mate, seriously, talking about the Giants cleaning house.
Brutal.
The boys at Denver,
yeah.
They ain't taking this.
No.
They will clean house.
I have friends in Denver that is a rabid fan base, and they will come at you with torches and a rail and a hot tar if you don't get that thing turned around. Brock Osweiler started. Wow. 50% completions, 208 yards, a touchdown, 2 INTs, and 3 sacks. Running game, MIA, 19 rushes for 35 yards. Zoinks. Defense gave up 197 rushing yards, 419 yards overall, and 7 touchdowns. What was this, a college game? Were they playing Temple? I mean, geez. Injury-wise, New England cornerback Stephon Gilmore is questionable.
Nice.
Denver, thank you. Denver offensive tackle Donald Stevenson and linebacker Todd Davis are out. That doesn't help them much. Denver's defense should rebound in this game. I mean, Von Miller alone should be angry enough to force them to play better. Denver's given up 16 passing touchdowns this year, the same as Mr. Brady has thrown. So we'll see if that doubles. 5 interceptions only, 19 sacks. And New England is averaging 31 rushing attempts per game in the last 3 games. That's very, very good.
Yeah.
Trap alert for New England, as if they need to worry about that kind of thing. They have Oakland. They are at Oakland next week. Very surprising, 2 West Coast travel games in a row for New England. They don't they have Goodell's promises to do good by them these days? But so they may stay out on the West Coast. I don't know. That'd be surprising if they go home. That said, no way. New England is going to win this game for sure. Denver is not going to beat that spread, and I'm going to take the under.
Week 10, Game 14, the Monday night game, John. Miami Dolphins at Carolina Panthers. The Dolphins, well, they waited all season for this kind of performance Sunday from veteran quarterback Jay Cutler. He was fantastic, and what did they do? Wasted it. Cutler completed his first 16 throws and got a season-high 3 touchdowns.
Amazing.
I mean, come on.
Amazing.
But Miami now at 4-4 struggle both defensively and on special teams. Look, following the trade of Jay Ajayi, it was always going to be difficult to adjust, and it was, obviously.
Yes.
As for the Panthers, quarterback Cam Newton wasn't just mobile on Sunday. He was everywhere.
Yeah.
God, I hate him. Anyway, even though Carolina traded their top receiver Kelvin Benjamin last week, they still managed to pull off a win, beating the favourites for the game, the Falcons, 2017. I'm not a fan of Newton. Did you know that, John?
No, I did not.
But this guy knows how to grind out a win. The team are now 6-3 and are going to be a pain in the backside for anyone facing them in the playoffs. That is for sure.
Yes.
At home, I see Cam Newton battening down the hatches and grinding out a win here. It's Carolina for me, John. How about you, brother?
Yeah, they're giving 9 at home, 40 over under. I think those are both about right. Miami, wow, they were very competitive, surprisingly, in a loss to Oakland. I think Oakland was equally downwardly competitive to them. But Jay Cutler, hey, what can you say?
What can you say,
Mr. Dolphin, 34 of 42.
And here's the juxtaposition. Jay Cutler, Eli Manning.
Yeah, exactly.
This was not supposed to happen this year.
No, sir. 34 of 42, 311 yards, 3 touchdowns, as you said, no interceptions. Right. Always a good sign, and 1 sack. Kenyon Drake, their running back, who is replacing Mr. Ajayi, was not bad, 9 for 69. The team overall was 18 for 86, so they did try a little bit. They need to run it more, frankly, if they're going to do anything. But their defense gave up 300 passing yards to Derek Carr, the Oakland quarterback, and they had 11 penalties, Miami did, for 107 yards. You don't need to keep kicking yourself in your own shins if you're already handicapped on your offense. Carolina, they ran past Atlanta in a defensive struggle. Here, you're talking about Cam Newton was all over the field.
Yep.
He accounted for 67.5% of the team's offensive yards in that game. That is unbelievable.
Yeah.
It also means he's going to be retiring early with a lot of aches and pains for the rest of his life. But as long as he keeps going now, that keeps Carolina viable as a team to contend with in the playoffs. Defense, they shut down Atlanta's running game, only 53 yards. Punter Michael Pilardi is averaged in this game 49.8 yards per kick and stuck 3 of 5 inside the 20-yard line.
Big numbers.
Why do I say that? Because I think this is going to be another very heavy defensive game. I don't think either side's going to score a lot.
Yeah.
Injury-wise, Miami offensive tackle Jawan James is questionable. Carolina's safety Mike Whitaker is questionable. Center Ryan Kalil, tight end Greg Olson, and I'm only putting him in because I love the name. Running back Fozzie Whitaker are all out. I think Fozzie's been out since the Muppets went off the air. Carolina, their pass defense has 29 sacks. Look out, Jay Cutler.
Absolutely.
You're going to be on your ass a couple times this game. 4 interceptions only, but 12 versus 12 touchdowns given up. Their defense does have some holes in the secondary. Another lousy Monday night game. Oh boy, ratings have declined on the Monday night games over the course of the season. No surprise there. That said, this is a defensive struggle, but Carolina has more juice in my mind than Miami does. So I'm going to take Carolina to win this game. Miami will beat that spread. I think it's going to be close, and I'm going to take the under.
All right, that's this week's show. Join us next week, same time, same place.